In Israel, a new bill just passed its first hurdle, a one that could apply Israeli law to the occupied West Bank. That's effectively annexation, a move that would bury any remaining hope for a future Palestinian state. But this time, the loudest opposition didn't come from the UN or pro-Palestine capitals. It came from Washington, from the Trump administration itself. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance called the annexation bill a stupid political stunt, adding that it would not happen under President Trump's watch.
Some symbolic vote to recognize or a symbolic vote to annex the West Bank. I mean, what I would say to that is when I asked about it, somebody told me that it was a political stunt, that it had no practical significance. It was purely symbolic. I mean, look, if it was a political stunt, it was a very stupid political stunt, and I personally take some insult to it. The West Bank is not going to be annexed by Israel. The policy of the Trump administration is that the West Bank will not be annexed by Israel. That will continue to be our policy. And if people want to take symbolic votes, they can do that. But we certainly weren't happy about it. Thank you.
His remarks came just hours after Secretary of State Marco Rubio warned Israel that such steps could endanger Trump's fragile plan to end the Gaza war. A plan that's produced only a shaky ceasefire so far, with Israel repeatedly violating the truce.
Yeah, that's a vote in the Knesset, but obviously I think the president's made clear that's not something we'd be supportive of right now, and we think it's potentially even threatening to the peace deal. So they're a democracy, they're going to have their votes, people are going to take these positions, but at this time it's something that we think it might be counterproductive.
And the president himself publicly warned Israel that proceeding with West Bank annexation will cost it U.S. support. So what's going on here? Why is Washington, usually Israel's firmest ally, publicly rebuking it over the West Bank? The bill was pushed by Avi Maoz, leader of the far-right Noam party, and backed by ultra-nationalist ministers Itamar Ben-Gvir and Bezalel Smotrich, both known for championing settlement expansion and opposing any Palestinian sovereignty. The first reading passed narrowly, just 25 votes to 24, out of 120 lawmakers. It's unlikely to become law, but it's symbolically powerful, an attempt to test how far the new Trump administration will go to accommodate Israel's far right. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu quickly distanced himself, as his office called the vote a deliberate political provocation, staged during Vance's visit to embarrass the government. Even Netanyahu's Likud party said it didn't support the bill, signaling that the move was about domestic point scoring, not policy. But while this particular vote might not go anywhere, critics say the annexation is already happening, quietly, piece by piece. Over 700,000 Israelis now live in settlements across the West Bank and occupied East Jerusalem, all of which are illegal under international law. The International Court of Justice reaffirmed that in 2024, declaring Israel's occupation and settlement expansion unlawful and calling for a full withdrawal. But on the ground, the opposite is happening. Settlements keep expanding, land keeps shrinking, and Palestinian communities are under siege, not only from Israeli forces, but also from settlers emboldened by far-right ministers. Since Israel's assault on Gaza began in October 2023, the West Bank has also been bleeding. More than 1,000 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli forces or settlers. The UN recorded 757 settler attacks in just the first half of 2025, a 13% increase from last year. Villages have been torched, olive groves destroyed, and families driven from their homes, while Israeli troops often stand by or join in. Human rights groups call it state-enabled violence. Israeli forces have also stepped up deadly raids in the West Bank, especially in Jenin, Tulkarem, Nablus, and other refugee camps. Thousands have been arrested, and entire neighborhoods flattened. So while the Knesset debates formal annexation, many Palestinians say the reality on the ground is already one of occupation without limits. Now, Trump administration remains Israel's closest ally, but it's trying to preserve enough leverage to push through its 20-point Gaza peace plan. That plan, championed by Marco Rubio, aims to rebuild Gaza, stabilize governance, and eventually pave the way for some form of Palestinian statehood. Annexing the West Bank would destroy that roadmap before it even begins. It's why Washington's reaction this time, sharp, immediate, and public, feels different. Globally, the backlash has been swift. Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, Turkey, and 13 other Muslim-majority nations condemned the Israeli bill, joined by both the Arab League and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. For them, annexation isn't a symbolic move, it's a death sentence for the two-state solution.